Hey, eighth graders, it's Mrs. Martin, and this is a new book talk for you in the month of February as we round out this month. So much to celebrate in the month of February. Black History Month and I Love to Read Month. And I'm also so excited to be seeing a lot of you coming back into the building now with our switch back to the hybrid model. Hoping to see you not only with your classes coming down to the library for books, but also just on your own, whether it's placing holds on something to read or maybe just popping down during advisory or your passing time. I hope that you're going to be coming down and looking for something new. And so today, as I share a couple books, maybe something here sounds good, or you'll look back to other lists that you have, maybe even just come down and say, what's new? Take a look at some of our displays, some of the books that are up on top of the shelves. We've pulled lots of new things that we have that maybe you haven't had a chance to come down and browse. So get down here, come take a look at the books, stop in and say hi. Before we get to the book talk today, just wanted to talk a little bit about March Madness of books. You might remember this from the last 2 years. If you've been here at Valley, you remember how this works. I know that it isn't going to be March quite yet, but we're getting there. And in the middle of March, along with, it being a little bit warmer outside, we've got March Madness going on with basketball, and we have our Valley Middle School Reading Madness like we do every year with our book bracket. Here's the bracket for this year. These are the 16 titles that are pitted against each other. We're looking for you to make predictions, just as we've done before. What book is going to be voted the top book of 2020 and 2021? If you predict correctly, you could win some amazing prizes. And just like before, you are going to get the opportunity to make those predictions, fill out a bracket, and try to win. We are going to run it very much like we've done in years past, other than we aren't going to do any paper brackets this year. This bracket will be available coming up very soon on the library homepage and on Schoology. So to go back to my first slide here, just like before, you will fill out a bracket using that link. It'll be in the announcements. It'll be on Schoology. I promise you'll know where to find it. You can submit that bracket by Monday, March 15th, only one entry per person. Starting that Monday, the 15th of March, the games begin, and every day you can vote for your favorite books on your Schoology class page. The winners of every match do advance to the next round to play again the next day. Just like before, you can vote as many times as you want. So, if you want the book Allies by Alan Gratz to go all the way in the competition, you better get on there and vote, vote, vote. Once all the winners are decided, we do award the prizes, and then if you've made the correct predictions, you could win big. Good luck. It's free to do. We hope that you'll join us in playing, and we'll see what book gets ended up as the winning title. So that's just a preview for March. Before we get there, let's back up and talk about football. Many of you may have tuned in to the Super Bowl with millions of other viewers this year. I thought this title seemed like a good one to start our book share today. Cover Up by John Feinstein. This story is written by an author who used to be a sports writer himself in real life, and now he has turned to writing some fiction as well. This is about a couple of kids, teenagers, who are learning the art of writing about sports, reporting about it, and they've discovered in this story that something going on in this year's Super Bowl is not quite what it seems. The team, the California Dreams, a fictional team, is doping. They have used some illegal, they've used steroids, they've used some drugs in order to beef up their team, in order to play better, in order to be stronger. They know the entire offensive line of the team has done this. And they also know the owner of the team knows about it and is trying to cover it up. The only thing they don't know is how they're going to prove it. How can they report on this knowing that this is what's going on and that going into the Super Bowl, the Dreams have an absolute advantage over the other team? What would you do if this were your situation? This is a sports story at its heart, for sure. Lots of football action on the field, but also a mystery of these two kids trying to determine how they're going to get to the bottom of this and bring the truth to light. Cover Up by Feinstein. Give this one a try. Maybe He Just Likes You by Barbara D. is new to our library this year. This is about a girl in middle school who has gotten herself feeling uncomfortable about something that I think a number of people can relate to, unfortunately. She experiences an unwanted hug outside her school one day, and that, makes her feel uncomfortable anyway. And then the next day, it's another hug, and it's comments, and it's looks, and it's not exactly anything, that she can report somebody for, but it all feels uncomfortable and weird to her, right? It gives her kind of a bad feeling in her stomach. She just feels uneasy. To her friend Zara, Mila is acting kind of immature and she's overreacting. Zara says, he's just flirting with you. He likes you. That's why he's doing that. Get over it. And Mila doesn't like it, and she just can't shake this feeling that it's not okay. She's let this guy know, in fact, she's let a number of guys know, she doesn't like that kind of attention, and they don't seem to be listening. Well, these things continue to happen to her throughout the first chapters of the story, and the more that it happens, the more she realizes this really isn't an okay thing. I get to decide what I'm okay with and what I'm not okay with. And she begins to gain confidence, especially when she enrolls in karate. She determines for herself what feels okay and where her boundaries are. And when she's finally pushed too far, things really kind of explode. She realizes she can't battle this whole thing on her own. This story, I think, really speaks to the Me Too movement. It really speaks to anybody who has reached a point where they realize somebody has crossed a line, they've pushed a boundary, and everyone deserves to feel comfortable and to establish exactly what they will accept and will not. Maybe He Just Likes You is a great book to explore that a little bit, and I hope that you'll consider reading this story. Scythe by Neal Shusterman is one we've had in the library for a while. If you've not yet read this one, this is one of my favorites by him. I just love this author. If you can picture a world with no hunger, no war, no misery, no disease, no pandemics, oh boy. That's the world that Citra and Rowan are living in. Sounds pretty great. However, of course, there's a bit of a catch. Take a look.
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. This sentence is grammatically correct, but it's wordy and hard to...
If we are to protect our perfect world, we scythes must live by a supreme set of rules. Thou shalt kill. Thou shalt take life without bias or malice. But for those who resist, swiftly end their bloodline. The methods you use will define you. What kind of scythe will you choose to be?
Scythes are basically angels of death, and Citra and Rowan are chosen to apprentice to a scythe because in their world, in order for all of those things to take place, a world to have no hunger or disease or war, it means that there have to be these scythes in place who are the only ones who end lives. Citra and Rowan's jobs, therefore, are in order to keep these things happening, they keep the size of the population under control by killing people. This role is something that neither of them wants, but they have to master the art, I guess, of taking a life. They also know that if they don't do this very well, if they fail at it, it could mean losing their own lives. It's a very interesting concept, a very interesting world, and Schusterman's writing, as always, is something that causes a lot of questions, and I hope that you'll consider reading this book. They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. Not often that in the title of the book, you know exactly how the book is going to end. This story sounds pretty morbid, right? Sounds like a downer of a book. And actually, in many ways, it is not. But it does beg the question, if you knew it was your last day on Earth, how would you spend it? Mateo and Rufus find out on September 5th a bit of bad news, which is they're going to die today. That's a certainty. And I'll tell you, the ending is exactly as the title says. They do both die at the end. Well, Mateo and Rufus are total strangers, but for different reasons, they are looking to make a new friend on their last day on Earth. The good news is there's an app for that. The app is called The Last Friend. And through it, these two guys meet up with each other. And they go on one last adventure to basically live out every possible dream they've had for their lives together. And they're going to do it in this one last day. That's what this book is about. How would you spend the very last day that you have knowing it's your last day ever? Try this one out by Silvera in the library. For something a little lighter, Gary Paulson, local Minnesota author, has written this story called Crush, The Theory, Practice, and Destructive Properties of Love. I couldn't help but throw in a little bit of romance here in the month of February, although this guy is not your typical romantic. He is trying really hard, but he also has a very scientific approach to love. He doesn't, bring the flowers and the candy to this girl he's been crushing on. What he does do is kind of set up romantic opportunities for other people so that he can study them almost like a scientist would. And then he wants to try those romantic opportunities on Tina, the girl that he adores and that he's been dreaming about. And it's absolutely hilarious to watch him try. For example, he starts by trying to create this candlelit dinner for his parents. And when he does, because he's trying to watch, right? To see, okay, what happens when, two people who love each other have a candlelit dinner and what do, right? How romantic is that? And so if I were to do this for Tina, how would that go? And he's studying them and watching them and taking notes. And he accidentally actually starts a fire. He tries to get his brother's hockey team together with some of the female ice skaters. And that ends up in a disaster. All of these things he keeps trying to do, and he keeps trying to do it in this really scientific kind of way. He's studying them in a lab and trying to do this so that he can figure out how to make this girl fall for him, and it just keeps not working. If you like a good love story, romantic kind of attempt, but like it from the perspective of a guy who really doesn't quite know what he's doing, this is a great book for you. It's very funny, and it's called Crush. This is also, by the way, the same character who was in the books Liar, Liar, and Flat Broke. So if you've read either of those books, Kevin is our main character, and he's just grown up a little bit more. Last but not least, Deepfake by Sarah Darer Littman is a story that this book came from our Scholastic Book Fair here this fall that we had online, unfortunately not in person. But I want to thank Mr. Bettini for doing the book talk on this book. And so I'm going to let him actually share the book with you.
What would you do if you saw a video of yourself online doing insane things you never did or said? Well, Dara usually gets everything she wants. But when an anonymous gossip site video shows Dara accusing her boyfriend Will of cheating on the SAT, lives of many at Greenpoint High are turned upside down. Suddenly, Will's being investigated and his future college plans hang in the balance. Dara swears up and down she isn't the one in the video, but no one believes her, including Will. Did Will cheat? Is it Dara saying he did? And if not, then who is responsible? Read Deepfake by Sarah Darer Littman to find out.
So again, thanks, Mr. Bettini, for doing that book talk for us. Yeah, if you can imagine being on video or having it look like you, but somebody else actually talking and saying everything, I can't imagine what that would be like. This is the truth for this character. That's what happens. She is accused of being in this video, saying things about her boyfriend. It looks like her, it sounds like her. Her boyfriend gets in all this trouble, and that's where the story begins. So maybe one of these books sounds good to you. Maybe they all sound like garbage. Whatever. Even if something in this book talk is not for you, I know we have something down here in the library that we can find. Nonfiction, graphic novels, comics, magazines, fiction books, something new, something old, a classic, a book you read when you were a kid, littler kid, that is. Anyway, let's find you something terrific to read. Please stop down, put a book on hold, whatever we can do for you, we are here. I hope you're doing well. I can't wait to see you soon. And in the meantime, happy reading.